I was never the kind of man who typically caught the eye of someone like Leona. She had this vibrant energy, loud, captivating, always the center of attention. The type who didn't need to try to turn heads, it just happened when she walked in. I, on the other hand, blended into the background. Quiet, focused, introverted. My life revolved around university, freelancing, and keeping things simple. I didn't wear standout clothes. I didn't go out unless necessary. Yet somehow she noticed me, and that changed everything. We first crossed paths at the campus cafe. I was buried in my laptop, racing to meet a deadline for a graphic design submission. Out of nowhere, she appeared at my table and said, "You look like you haven't blinked in 2 hours. You good?" That was her in a nutshell. Bold, playful, full of spark. And just like that, I was drawn in. At the beginning, it almost felt unreal. Someone like her choosing someone like me? It didn't make sense. She dragged me into her vibrant world. Wild parties, last-minute road trips, concerts with crowds that pulsed like heartbeats. For a while, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed her. She made me feel visible, appreciated, like I mattered. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to shift, and by the time I noticed, I was already deep in the wrong direction. It began with harmless digs, teasing nicknames, playful sarcasm. "This is Andrew, my human Wikipedia," she'd say, squeezing my cheek like I was a quirky sidekick. Or, "Don't ask him to dance, he might sprain something." She joked, once at a club. Everyone laughed. I pretended to laugh too. I convinced myself it was just her sense of humor. Nothing serious. But those jokes began to cut deeper. And they never stopped coming. She thrived on being the center of attention, and somewhere along the way, I'd become part of her routine. Her friends started referring to me as the boyfriend prop. They joked about how I always stood at the edge of group photos or how I sounded like a narrator from a nature documentary. There was this one dinner I can't forget. She told the whole table, "You should hear him talk about fonts. It's like dating a TED Talk." The table burst into laughter. I just stared at my plate. I brought it up to her later, softly, gently, and said I didn't like being made fun of like that. She looked genuinely confused and said, "Babe, it's just jokes. That's who I am. Don't be so sensitive." That night, she posted a photo of the two of us with the caption, "My little professor, red heart, brain, red heart." Looking back, I should have walked away then. But I didn't. Maybe I loved her. Or maybe I just clung to the idea that someone like her could love someone like me. 3 months later, it all came crashing down. Her best friend, Emma, was hosting a rooftop birthday party in the city. I didn't want to go, but Leona was insistent. "Come on," she pleaded. "You'll actually like these people. They're different." They weren't. They were worse. We showed up late. Music blared from the speakers, drinks flowed endlessly, and everyone was already half drunk. I lingered by the bar, nursing a drink and trying to blend in. Leona, she was thriving, bouncing from group to group, laughing loudly, glowing in her spotlight. Then came the moment I'd never forget. From across the terrace, she shouted, "Andrew, come here." I hesitated but walked over. She threw her arm around me and said to the group, "This is my genius boyfriend. He made this super artsy font thing last week." "What was it again, babe?" Before I could respond, she added, "He actually thinks fonts are sexy. Like, he'll literally blush at Helvetica." Everyone erupted into laughter. Too loud. Too forced. My skin burned. I tried to smile, but my throat was tight. Then, locking eyes with me, she said, "Go on. Tell them about your weird font obsession. It's adorable." I wanted to sink through the floor. The laughter didn't stop. One of her friends mocked a nerdy voice and said, "The kerning on this invite is offensive." More laughter followed. Leona leaned in and whispered, "You're being weird again. Loosen up." I didn't respond. I simply turned, walked back to the bar, and stayed there the rest of the night. She didn't come over, didn't check in. She was too busy enjoying the spotlight. The next morning, I slipped out of her apartment before she woke up. No note, no message. I didn't answer her texts that afternoon, or the next, or the one after that. I didn't vanish to punish her. I disappeared because I had to. For myself. My silence said more than any confrontation ever could. Her texts shifted over time, from casual check-ins to confused ones, then worried ones. Eventually, they became apologies. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," one message read. "I thought it was funny. I didn't know it hurt." But I had been hurting for a long time. I just never found the courage to say it aloud. Ironically, going silent communicated what words never could. She messaged again, saying she finally understood. How she missed me, how she didn't realize how much I'd grounded her, how safe I made her feel. Even her friends, she admitted, told her, "You were kind of harsh on him sometimes." Funny how people only start to reflect after the damage is done, once the person they took for granted stops standing in place. She asked to meet, begged even, said she wouldn't make the same mistakes, that things would be different. But by then I had changed. The version of me she once teased and displayed like a novelty was long gone. I was rebuilding, reclaiming the pieces of myself that I'd abandoned, spending time with friends who genuinely cared, laughing for myself, not for anyone else's entertainment, designing not just art, but a future where I no longer had to shrink to fit someone else's world. I never replied, not from spite, but because some goodbyes don't need to be spoken. She laughed at me like I was insignificant, but when I left without a single word, she finally understood what it meant to lose something real. And that silence, that was the loudest truth I ever told.